This is me, Sarah. So lately I've been playing this video game called The Isle, and I've also been with this, I'm in a clan that we mainly play Utahraptors as our main dinosaur. It's a dinosaur survival game on Steam. It's really, really cool. You guys should check it out. And I'm still slightly working on my Maleficent wings. They are made and put together, but what I'm doing right now is cutting out from the rest of the foam feather shapes, and then after I cut them out, then I'm adding ridges to them. I'm like just cutting slices. I know you can't see that real well. Yeah, my room is a big mess, whoop-de-doo. But I'm doing stuff like that. Like that. Oh, that one's only part of the way done. And they're not all of them are like this, you know, and I just do it towards the center just to add more detail, and then I will be, you know, placing them on certain parts of the wing, and they're going to be like close together and, you know, kind of like that. And that is going to go on the top parts here. I still gotta get that together, and I gotta do both sides covered in that. That's gonna be a challenge. I still have to figure out how to use I got a bunch of wire hangers I thought I would try to use, and figure out how to get them together, and then figure out how to get it on my body. Yeah, maybe I took more of a big chunk than I could, you know, just because I'm a cashier at work, so part of me wonders if I'm going to be able to wear them in that little space. So, but anyway, back to what I was drawing. I decided to, I was drawing this little Carnotaur because I was like, I like the dinosaurs and I think they're so cool. And so I was like, well, why don't I make like a realistic / cartoonic version of them? And sometimes I have to draw them a lot before I can get a final design that I liked. Like I originally did, that one was not the original, but someone has, when I first did the hatchling Carno, I was like oversized head, skinny neck, you know, really rounded body, and then just really big legs and feet, you know, just to kind of give it character. And then someone actually suggested, because that's kind of what I've done with the Rex. Like here's a here's like a hatchling Rex. Actually, I did make the head a little bit small, but that's the angle. But I did give it like extra long legs and an extra long tail, so it does still need to be refined, you know. But you know, the feet a little bit big, you know, so it's like it could trip over its own feet. And then the juvie, still the long legs and everything, a little bit more coordinated. And I've done the sub, so it's starting to fill out a little bit more. The body's kind of, I think I need to make the body a little bit bigger. I still made the legs. I kept the legs really big theme, and the head starting to look a little bit more like the adult, and I have not done an adult yet. So the adult will have, you know, he's filled out, he's a big boy, you know. He's like, look at me, I'm the man. And then here's the juvie Carno, which I figured that one's a little bit more accurate. Then I was just like, I was frustrated, so I did random sketch. To me, the hardest part is the horns placement, because in the game, they have them like right where the eye ridges are, basically. And for me, I personally like to draw them more behind the head, or on the back of the head, like the back up around this area, and not right above where the eye is. But anyway, you can see I'm having trouble with this, but to me, to make it more kind of cartoonic, I mean, someone suggested, that's the first sketch I had done. This is the original I had done with this idea that came up. I figured, like, what would it be like to have a Carno as a pet, just maybe a cute little picture. And someone also suggested that, because I had posted a picture of a juvie or a hatchling carno, and they said, well, why don't you try doing it more chubby? Because then it got me thinking. So I'm like, okay. So this is kind of what I got. And I figured, I don't know if I'm going to do all of the, you know, the bumps that are along the body for right now. I'm just going to do more of a cleaner look. And that's the other leg right here. But I figured, you know, just imagine him having a little carno having the personality of a dog. You know, basically a dog. And so I figured this little guy, his owner is at home working, and so he's like, I am eating this huge piece of meat. That's what his whole focus is on right now. I'm eating this huge piece of meat and I'm loving it, and he's just, you know, he's tearing at it, he's ripping at it, and his, you know, his hands are so short, but I decided to put him on his belly, you know. But you know, and I'm thinking either I could try to make this into a comic or possibly try to animate it. Just a short, you know, he's pulling at it, he's tearing at it, and he's also using his feet to kind of push and hold it as he's trying to tear a chunk off, and he's just not getting it. All he's doing is kind of stretching it. And then all of a sudden, he hears the door open. So he stills, you know, he sits still, you know, and hears the walking in. And then he's like, oh, Daddy's home, or Mommy's home, you know, whoever owns him, his owner, you know. And then he goes, you know, he hears his name or her name, you know, I'm home. And then his tail just starts, his tail just starts going. Either, I dropped my pen, either the tail will like in a sense, go back and forth like that, like a cat, or the end of it will just like start thumping. I kind of feel like I want to do the thumpy, but maybe because he's on his back, it'll just kind of wag, a long wag back and forth, you know, just to, like, all of a sudden his focus is like, oh, Daddy's home, so, you know, something like that. But I could just imagine him, you know, chewing on it, and all of a sudden, ding, and then then his eyes get even a little bit bigger, and he gets a more bigger smile, and he just goes thump, 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 thump on his tail. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of. Just something really cute. And then I was just started thinking, you know, I could do something with this. You know, with dinosaurs sort of in the modern, you know, kind of a little bit in the modern world. And the muzzle is definitely more square. Have a little tooth sticking out. Sorry if it feels a little bit too dark. And it is midnight / 1 o'clock, and I do have to work tomorrow, but anyway, I do not care. Don't worry, boss, I'll make sure I'm not late. Anyway, because I love you guys. So, kudos to who gave me the idea of having a more chubby carno. And I don't know how much room fully I have on my iPad here. But this is how I start out. You know, you saw that one, and that definitely, it looks cute, but it's not as, you know, how this is. I like this. This is, you know, this is also why I get a bunch of notepads. I just draw, and if I get something in my mind, then I just draw it over and over again until I get the final, you know, the design and stuff that I'm looking for. if this little Carno, which I'm gonna have it be a boy, if this little guy was to have a name, what would it be? For some reason, I'm getting either Rocky or Boxer. Little claws. And keeping the fingers kind of, you know, chubby and fat. And to give, you know, character, you know, you have to exaggerate some things. It doesn't have to be extremely fully accurate. To people who think, I mean, to me, I do admit I don't accept criticism that well. But, you know, to me, you do have to add character. You know, if you're trying to do a character. So the horn will just kind of blend in to the head here. So, even if, like, someone might not like, well, the hands are way too long, they're not supposed to bend that way, but, you know, it gives, to me, it gives a little bit of character. I mean, for real, I know they're extremely short. For real, they're like nothing. They would be like that length, probably, you know, but anyway. Something like that. And he has this big, you know, piece of meat. You know, the traditional cartoonic piece of meat that's got all the fat on the edges, and it's what gives it flavor. Do you hear it sizzling? Do. Sorry there's no music or anything, just the annoying sound of my fan. And there would probably obviously be like some shading and stuff where his toes and his claws are just digging into the meat, just latching onto it, and he's, you know, he'd be like, I'm gonna grab onto this and I'm not gonna let go. I even did a dinosaur combo. At first I thought, why not try to combine the Suco with the Aloe? You know, maybe a long snout, but at the same time have like crest over the eyes, and that wasn't working out for me really well. But I did draw a Utah Dilo combination. I might have posted that. You know, it was also because I was been playing the Jurassic World Alive at the time, and that one actually kind of came out pretty cool, so maybe I might post it again or something. But yeah, this other foot is on the other side, so you don't really see it because it's hiding behind the giant piece of meat that he's got. You know, so there would be like some shading in here. You know, and maybe a little bit of shine on this foot, and obviously shine on his eyes. Maybe little bumps. As he grows, he would start getting a little bit more bumpy and bulky, and like thick neck muscles. and a really big tail. I thought about even extending the tail all the way to back here, like just like a little bit more, but then I thought maybe that might make it too long. So yeah. I had also thought about coming up with a little story, because I was talking to my boss one time, you know, we were just, you know, on break or whatever, or it was after work. And for some reason, 2 different animals came up, and it was butterflies and whales. And I was like, huh, that could be like the title of a kid's book or something, Butterflies and Whales. Or she loves orcas. So I was like either orcas and whales or butterflies and whales. So it could be something like where an orca shows the butterfly the underwater world, and it gets to look at all the different whale species, and so it would be like a cute little whale, and it would have, you know, they breathe air. This is just a light sketch, and it would have, you know, big eyes to give it character, and then it would actually have like a big air bubble, and the butterfly is inside it, and so then, you know, he goes down under the water and then shows them all the different other animals, you know, a lot of different water creatures and other, you know, other whales and stuff, you know, something like that. So, but anyway, I think that is that, you know. Yeah. So, I'm not really that good at animating, but since I kind of have a final design, I could possibly try to. I've never really done it before, but I always thought it could be really cute. And so the tail would either go sideways like a cat, or the end of it would just start thumping, like thump, 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 thump. Like, you know, you'd hear a, you know, a thumping sound. So yeah, that's what I got. Hope I didn't talk too much. I tend to do that. Oh. And I usually would sign my regular name, you know, and then date, which is 8. Since it is now 1:07, it is the 12th. August 12th, 2020. And there we go.